Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. Hope you're looking forward to a fold. I wonder actually whether I can see comments. It somehow isn't looking quite right. But anyway, I will assume you're there. If you're able to type something, please do. Oh, Eric, great. You're always the one with the most nimble of fingers, despite what you say. And thank you. That's great. Really appreciated. Right, we're not going to quite make all of this today, but I will show you the idea. We're going to make a single flower. This has been, I have to say, on my wish list for years, actually, this traditional kusudama. Hello, Eric. Hello, Stephen, Lady Frog as well. It's lovely to have you here. And it's such a beautiful piece. It's a traditional piece of origami, and I know it kind of goes against this sort of the contemporary origami, which is very neat and beautiful by entirely being based on folds and tucks. And I mean, that is just such a wonderful thing. In this case, there's a little bit of stitching threads, and I have to say, in this case, I tried it about 4 times, and it wasn't perfect enough for what I wanted, so I did use some PVA glue just to keep it exactly in place. Deborah, but I think it's well worth it, and yeah, I think it's such a beautiful piece. It's such a beautiful, perfect round ball. Have any of you ever made one of these before? Hi, Elizabeth. That's so lovely to have you here. Thank you for all your amazing support. Thank you for your card too. Sorry it took a little while to get and to register, but it's so appreciated. You've been supporting so much. It really is lovely. Yes, in France. Bonjour. My French, I'm sorry, is so poor, but it's so lovely to have you. It's just felt like people across the world have been joining in. Isn't that a great thing? Adrienne, lovely to have you here as well. So my next fold will be, I think it's the last Wednesday of the month actually. So the little gap. Yeah. So just going as I go along as to what else is happening. Hello everyone. So we're going to have a go at making a little flower. And the idea, you have to make 36. Hello, Alberto. You'd have to make 36 to make this gorgeous ball, but I think it's well worth it. And I think just by doing one, I think you'll really enjoy. So we'll be making a single one, which is a beautiful thing in itself. One of these flowers. It's almost like a little tree as well. I think it's a lovely shape. And it's lovely because you do some folding and then you sort of undo it. I love those folds where you make something, you undo it, it's a liberation, and then refold it. Folding things, Scott. Lovely to have you here as well. Marnie, it feels like quite a full house. I'm amazed. It's really great to have you. Thank you for joining. So we're going to learn to make a single flower, and then Wendy, I think then you'll have to get them together. You'd need to make 36 to make a ball. I can show you the principle. And I really recommend it. It's one of those really good. At the moment, it's a bit rainy. It's kind of the feeling of a rainy day sort of project, but definitely a weekend or holiday. These are little bunches that you do, and then you can string them together. But I will show you what to do. I've actually the one that I've been showing you. I used actually really nice wrapping paper, which has got metallic rainbow colours on one side, and then just plain on the other. And it makes a lovely, lovely effect. I don't know how much you can see of that, but it's really nice. I was quite excited about making it from this paper. So I suggest that you get yourself a piece of paper. It's quite fun if it's 2 colours, or if it's coloured on one side and white on the other. I will just show you with a bigger piece of paper here. Been folding, I think, quite smallish squares if you want to make a small, neat one. But start off with one simple one. So 36, Eric, 36, a nice number, 36. That's how many you need to make to contribute to this beautiful ball. Yeah, and then I will show you a bit later on, but it's basically threading through the end of them, and you can do 6 bunches of 6 and then tie these little bunches together. You might get a perfect ball. You really may well not. I found it wasn't good enough for my liking. I'm sure you'd eventually master it, but after 4 times I got fed up. So, so I tied them together, and then I did actually put in a bit of glue, and then I pushed my one into. I found a nice little round bowl, which allowed me to really get it to the right shape. Pushing it in and then letting it dry and set in. It's up to you. It is possible to do through time, but but good luck. It's a good old thing to try. It is possible, but as I said, I just got fed up with mine being a bit lumpy. 36, so 36. So I will show you how to make one, and then you'll need to make 36, and then you would thread them together. So I'll just show you how to make one. And obviously this film is recorded, and I've also made a film already, so between those you should be able to do it. Obviously I'm afraid I don't show you how to fold the whole lot, it'd take me too long, but I do. You'll get the idea of it. As I said, what you'll be doing later on, if you wish, is to get 6 of these, and can you see I've put a needle through with the thread, and tying them together at the top. And then if you've done one, then with 36 you make 6 stacks of 6. And then what you would do is tie a thread from underneath onto the next one, and then onto the next one, so on. And it might just make a ball. I have to say, I found it tricky. Yeah, but it's a good old challenge. And if you're finding each time that it's not quite working to tie it all together, then, as I said, I ended up, although I had tied it together, it was a bit lumpy, I put in a little bit of glue and I pushed it all in a round bowl to make the right shape. And to be honest, I'm really happy with that, because I think it would really bug me if it was really off. So I think, it's fine. You don't have to be purist about it. You can if you want to be, but I think whatever gives you the most joy, I think, is ultimately it. Right, I've chatted long enough. I'm going to get my little board, so if you get something to press on, and as I said, I'm going to show you just how to fold one flower, and then you have to make another 35 if you've made one. And if you're making a ball, think about what sort of size you want to make. So this is the sort of usual size origami paper. It would be quite a big ball, whereas I've used quite a small one. 36, that's it. Oh, just 5-fold. Oh, I like that. Right. So first of all, I'm going to make myself a square. As you know, I tend to just show with any old paper and make your own. I'm just using up some paper here. So I'm just going to make a square, making that nice little right angle triangle. Obviously, if you're making a ball, they would all need to be exactly the same size, of course. So at some point, you need to decide what it is that you're doing. And it really does look good if you've got a double-sided colours. Then again, I have to say, I've just making this plain one as an example. I thought this looks rather beautiful too, so I'm sure plain could be great as well. I'm going to remove this rectangle, so I'm going to fold it, turn it over, lift this back, and squash it down. Good strong fold. That's it. Open it up. Little tiny nick. And then you should be able to tear that off. That's right. Great. So if you have origami paper you want to make your single flower from, so just do a diagonal fold on, I suppose, the plain side. So this would be the side that will end up on the outside of your flower. And then the other diagonal fold as well. That's it. So this side will be on the outside, that colour. Happy for me to move on. I'm going to end up colouring one side so you can be clear which side's which. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over, and this would be the coloured side which will end up inside. And I'm just going to really quickly give it a bit of colour, just again, you can see it's the one that I would do there. Right. Okay, so we're going to fold it in half to make a rectangle. I know it's these basic bases, and I never use the words because I tend to teach to people without that vocabulary, and I'm afraid it doesn't quite click for me either. So there we go. I'm sure I think they need more poetic names than preliminary or whatever. I get it, but it doesn't inspire quite that much for me personally. There we go, opening it up. But as I said, it's really because I teach for people who've never done origami before, and giving a little bit of confidence they can do something maybe they thought they could never do. And it's those kind of self-nurturing skills, which for me is what it's all about, of encouraging people to learn something new. Maybe a square base. I have no idea, Stephen. You're more likely to know than me. But I don't know if that would inspire, to be honest, either. I think they need more poetic names. Anyway, maybe they don't need names because it's just visual, isn't it? It's a lovely shape. It's a lovely shape. Right, so as it is now, if you pop your finger underneath the middle and push up, there we go. And it's that lovely triangular shape. So if you bring in the sides, that's right, and squash it down. If you need me to show again, more than happy, because I'm always assuming there will be people there who haven't folded before and keen to give that confidence. Did you get that, everyone? Do you need me to show that to you again? So I'm just squashing it down, and it should look like this from the top. Lovely shape. So much potential. That's it. Right. Oh, interesting. Oh, that's interesting, Steve. I wonder where these names have come from. They don't feel Japanese to me, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I suppose as it's got sort of a bigger field, then you want to describe it, whereas you can either learn from thinking of it as certain bases and then you go different directions, or each time you just sort of start afresh. And I think that's how I tend to remember it, is just whichever it is for that particular one. It's like a little story. Okay, so as it is now, I just want you to take one of these top edges and just fold along. Oh yes, actually, water bomb's not bad, is it? You're right. I don't mind water bomb. Yeah, a fresh start, exactly. We're making a flower, that's all. So I took that top edge and I brought it down along that middle line. That's it. Happy? And then open it up. And I just want you to put your finger into that little pocket and sort of tilt it over to the middle. Can you see I'm tilting it over to the middle? So it was like that. Opened it up, put my finger in. No problem, Stephen. I'm not going to correct you anyway. There we go. Put your fingers in and then sort of squash it down, and you'll sort of find it tilts down to the very middle. So that middle line goes down there. Yeah. I quite like water bomb base. That's all right, isn't it? There we go. Actually, I rather like at this point, it could be a flower, couldn't it? If you turned it that way up, it could be a flower. Doesn't actually matter which way up you have it, but I'll just stick to where we've been, so it's not to confuse. So has that worked for everyone? Are you happy with that? I'm going to assume so, unless I see any messages in the box. You're okay, Eric. You're always okay. It's a bit like, yes, it is like a lotus. Yes, enjoy every little step. I think it's all about the journey. And there's a long journey to go if you want to make your own kusudama. So, oh, brilliant. So this bottom edge, we take this and bring it along this middle line. And just circle it. Oh, wow. Ooh. Well done, Elizabeth. It sounds like you're making very good things there. There we go. Right, now I'm going to have to see what I'm doing. But it's basically this outside edge along that vertical line. And you do need to see what you're doing, I think, for this one. And then the same with this other edge. So folding that edge to the middle line. That's it, like so. Great. So now, as it is, the bit that sticking out beyond the line, just lift it up. And again, keeping this all lined up in the middle. And squash it down, like that. That's it. Right, so think of this as leaves of a book. You should now be able to just turn over onto a fresh new leaf. Again, new beginnings. And again, this top diagonal edge, again, folding it along that vertical line. We're basically going to do the same thing on each side. There's a nice little bit of repetition going on here. Here we go. Like so, and then opening this up, again, same thing, pop your finger in there, and then pop your finger in, and then squashing it over to the middle. And again, it does look like a little lotus, and just make sure you're going properly from the very top there. Easy for things to get a little bit off track, and then it all gets more off track. So always checking what you're doing. That looks good to me. Lovely. And then that bottom edge along that vertical line. There we go. And then the same with the other. So again, it's that lovely shape. Again, the same thing, a bit that sticks out, lifting it up. Again, making sure everything's lined up there. Great. And let's have a look on the back now. So turn to the back. Are you all keeping up? You're all happy? Let me know if you need me to pause. That's it. So the same thing, outside diagonal line, bring it along vertical. Like so. Hopefully getting the hang of it now. It's a bit off, you can always correct it. That's the beauty of paper, isn't it? It holds that fold, and yet it's always a good bit of flexibility in there. You're happy with it? That's it. So again, opening that up, pop your finger in, and then squashing it down. Squashing it down the middle. There we go. Bottom edge along that vertical line. Yeah, I do. It's lovely. If you do 36, you're just, this becomes such a comforting thing to do. It clearly takes a while, and I think that's what's really nice. It's a sort of, over many evenings, over weekends, and just enjoy little pots with some papers and just enjoy the feel of it. I'm really enjoying this little dance that you get with this. Oh, yes, that's right. It's lovely. It is meditative. That bottom edge, bringing it up. A little bit of just switching off, but you're also sort of switching on at the same time, aren't you? Because it's stimulating. I do find sometimes it's not, for me, always the best thing to do before bedtime. It's relaxing, but I find it a bit too exciting. So actually, I try not to. At one point, I was doing lots of trying to come up with new designs at night, but honestly, it's not good for your brain to have a rest that way. So turning it over, but probably actually something, if you do it many times, it becomes a little bit more automatic, so a little less exciting on the brain. Again, that vertical line. Same thing again, opening it up. Pop your finger in, bring it across. Bottom edge to that vertical line. Go. And then bring it up. There we go. So it sort of looks like it could be a lovely little flower. Oh, it does make you feel better. And this, the kusudama, means medicine ball, and it is. It's like a medicine. It makes you feel better. So it's looking lovely. And I love this bit. The next bit is we undo it all. Undo the whole thing. So undo each side. Just get rid of all those folds, but they're there and we're going to use them. So I love it. It's kind of a feeling of liberation. I was like this with the daisy as well. As a daisy, and it's all that folding and then unfolding it all. I love that. So it's giving you these lovely lines, but we're not going to. I go gently because you don't want to, definitely don't want to tear anything. So just go gently. Yes, just look a bit. Maybe you could play around with that, make it into a rocket. That's it. So hopefully it's looking like this. Is it looking like that for you? Oh, maybe pause for a moment if you're still undoing yours. That's a lovely thing in itself. It's a huge flower. There we go. Are you happy to move on? Catching up. Yeah. So maybe, give yourselves that little bit of time. That would be good. Yeah. Oh, gee. Stephen, I haven't experienced things that often. Oh, I love it. I just feel really happy on doing it all, actually. It's like that. You've done all of that lovely concentration, but actually it's not lost at all. It is like I agree. Elizabeth, that's so beautiful. That's so poetic. It is. It feels like a new start to me as well with this. I love it. And yet everything there is what will make the next step work. I don't know how you do it otherwise, actually. I am curious as to whether this is the way that this is always done or not, because it's quite curious to do a load of folding, unfold it, and then flip it inside out is what we're going to do next. Is everyone ready to move on, or do you want me to wait? Please do say. I am. I will wait till I hear. Yeah, Eric, brilliant. Are others ready? Yeah, okay, great. Okay, I will take it that you are there. Right. So as it's opened up, I love how it's kind of curling up into a flower. So you've got that colourful side on the outside. Now I just want you to put your finger underneath. It's curving up underneath. Not quite. I will let you finish, Wendy. So you've got the colour on the outside, white on the inside, and how it's lovely curling up. Keep it like this. Nice little wobbling around now. Happy days. Yeah, I can now see how it's all going to happen. Maybe you'll be able to see that too. Yeah. Let me know, Wendy, when you're ready. And then we will get going on the flipping it inside out and then folding up again. And it's one where it starts off very easy and by the end it's quite tricky again because it's inside out really. Waiting for little bit. Wendy, how are you doing? No pressure. I hope you're just enjoying your piece. I think you can enjoy. Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate it. Right, so the colour at the moment is on the outside. Now I want you to put your fingers underneath the middle and push, pop, and it's gone the other way. I hope that worked for you. I'll show you one more time. So it's curving up, colour on the outside, push underneath the middle, pop, and that's a nice feeling. So in a moment, what we're going to do is we're going to take, as you look from the outside, we're going to take these sort of, if you think of these quarters, we're going to take outside quarter lines and bring them. So this is looking on the outside. We're going to bring them together like that. So just kind of get that in your head. Each time we're taking that middle kind of quarters and bringing it along that vertical line. It's all there. You're not having to add any extra lines, so it's quite fun. And then if you look on the inside, so keeping them as they are, just flip the outside inwards. And again, you're not adding any extra lines. You're just using what you've got and then push that down. That's it. So it's sort of tucked in from the outside. Shall I go on to the next one? Again, you have to be quite patient with yourself. It starts off, this is quite easy, the first bit. By the end, it's really quite tricky because it's gathering up and getting smaller. So again, looking from the outside at that quarter, going to take the outside and bring it along vertical. So just bringing that and sort of almost closing that little door. So again, you're using all the lines you've already got, holding it there. Holding it together. Now look on the inside. And again, I'm holding everything in place. So those two sort of doors are closed together. And then I'm taking the sides and flipping that in like that, and then pushing it down. And actually I would sort of then fold it inwards, so it's becoming a little bit of a concertina in there. Can you see? How are you getting on? Do we need a quick breather? So it's the outside quarter bringing almost like a kind of hug or doors on the outside, and then turning around the other side, and it's those little flaps that flip in. I love the spatial side of it. You end up waving your arms around a lot, trying to explain. So I'm going to go on to the next side. So again, looking from the outside. You're again looking at that sort of quarter. And you're taking the outside line and bringing it up along the vertical. That's it. And now it's beginning to get a little bit tricky to do. So having to really concentrate. It's definitely one I can imagine your tongue coming out here. But I'm bringing that over here. And then the same with the other side. I'm going to hold that closed. And, as I said, it gets trickier as you go along. I'm just going to have to see what I'm doing myself first, I'm afraid. So again, taking this outside, and you're having to really stretch that kind of concertina there from the others. And again, that side round. So you've almost got those closed doors. Hold that where it is. Turn it to the inside. And as you're viewing from the inside, keeping everything sort of flat there, flipping those outsides to the middle. Is this the only way of doing this particular fold? Yes, it's a tricky old one, isn't it, Eric? And then pushing it in, particularly when there's 36 to make in total, pushing it down. And it should be looking, gosh, something like that inside. It's not the easiest. Again, I'm just sort of going through that nice little concertina inside. It's very 3D, so this is quite a hard one to show. And apologies if you're getting confused. Don't worry, it's all part of the process. You can always look back at this, or I've made a film already. I try to show it, but it's also that working it out yourself. So I can't necessarily show you perfectly. It's for you to also figure out, but it will come together. Right, are you happy? Have you sort of got that far? I hope so. I'm just checking that nice little concertina in there. So it should be something like that. You've almost got one single petal there at the back to work on. Oh, really? It's not a standard way of doing it. Oh, it's interesting. I found a Japanese film, actually, which is how I learned this. It is a pretty shape. I mean, actually, here I think you could do stuff with this, couldn't you? But we're gonna finish it off. Yeah, Stephen, I'd be really curious how this is normally done. It may be that I'm doing it in a strange way, but I've enjoyed it. So again, turn to the outside of this, and we're going to take this outside line and bring it to the middle line. And it's going to be really tricky now because you've got a whole flower in there that's needing to stretch around. Again, I've enjoyed the challenge of this. So you're going to have to take the outside line and bring it to the middle, and it's going to be tricky. Don't worry, you'll get there. I'm afraid I have to see what I'm doing as well. And obviously I was folding with a much smaller. I suppose actually, I think maybe giving up on it being flat is probably a good idea. But instead, I'm bringing those outside to the middle. So you can see it's becoming a flower. Can you see? I'll just show you one more time. So it was like that, and I took this outside to the middle line, but actually I'm no longer trying to keep it flat. It's not going to work. That's it. Oh, interesting. Huh. Yes, yes, it probably is. I can't see how you do it otherwise, actually. But it's still intriguing. I find this doing it and then undoing it really quite an intriguing thing to do. So from the inside, kind of try to keep everything in the right shape of the flower. And as you're looking on the inside, you're going to have to then try one at a time, keeping it in the place that it should be, flipping the sides in, and then the same with the other. Again, I think I'm keeping everything in place and just pushing that in. And actually, you could have done a flower where all these little bits of the petals stick out. I mean, that's also lovely, isn't it? I think you could do something nice with that too. But maybe just for this purposes, you can then push that inwards. So I'm afraid we're not going to make 36 together. I have not got all day and all night. But it's just to show you what a beautiful thing it is. And I love how it really beautifully kind of keeps its own shape. And it's a slightly kind of an odd shape. It's slightly curvy, slightly strained, but very stable as well. Yes, it's definitely a tricky one, but I think that's part of the beauty, and you could just enjoy that as it is. But if you want to have a go at making it into kusudama, and it does make a beautiful round ball, then you need to make 36 and make 36 and then tie little groups of 6 together. So with a needle you can thread through the ends, and a sort of tightish, but I think not a super tight, but to be frank, I haven't really figured it out well. So a little loop up there, and you can see it's already trying to form into a little bit of a shape there. And then you get the next one, pop that on top, and with another separate thread, then you would tie in the next one and keep going with all of them. It might be a good enough ball, but it's quite likely not to be until you've totally mastered it. And as I said, I ended up after 4 times going, I just can't get it good enough for me to enjoy it. And then I put in a little bit of PVA and was able to squash it in a nice little bowl. And it became, I was really happy with that. I love it. And it's, you know, it's a result of quite a bit of time and work, but it's a beautiful thing. I feel like making some more at some point. And I was surprised how lovely just the white is, isn't it? So however you do it, I think it's going to be beautiful. So I hope that's worked for you. I think it's not for another 3 weeks until I'll be back, but that's probably about the right time to do this, to be honest, isn't it? So it'll be the last Wednesday of, thank you. Happy International Women's Day. I agree. Thank you. Much appreciated. Is it that it's Men's Day every other day? No, I'm not saying that. But yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that, Eric. And it's good to celebrate. It's strange, isn't it? In terms of numbers, women are not the minority, but they often are in treatment. So thank you. Let's celebrate us all, and happy folding. I hope you can make a beautiful ball if you feel like it. It's a very nice little pet project. As I said, it's taken me years to build up doing this, but it's been on my wish list, and it is a wonderful thing to do. Thank you, Alberto, Adrienne, Deborah, Marnie, Eric, Stephen, all of you. Yes, it would make a good Christmas ball. Quite an extravagant one, but definitely a good one. Anyway, wishing you all a good few weeks, and I look forward to seeing you at the end of the month. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.